Greg, this is the end.
No, this is the beginning. It's okay, everyone.
This will go on forever, huh?
Go on forever. It's all right, everyone.
Unlimited breakdowns. But today, we are breaking down chapter 27, Legion's series finale. I'm pretty sad to see it go.
Man, I don't want it to end, but all right, here we are.
Lots of spoilers ahead, guys. Obviously, make sure you watch the series finale, then come right back here and watch this full breakdown.
Okay, to kick things off for the finale, we start off with a nice little poem. This is the end, the beginning, the end.
Yeah, and we also see a lot of like familiar montage shots of like nature, of the trees that we saw in the very beginning of the show, the pilot of the show. And obviously then we get montage of David's life. And it makes you kind of worry that something's gonna be completely reset as you go into this episode.
Yeah. First thing I thought of was, oh, cool, are we going down some Terrence Malick kind of road here? Where are we going? Tree of Life stuff? I love it. And kind of, well, we did. And I'm just so impressed with this show, every single episode, and I'm really gonna miss it. This ending, again, it's not the end, but at the same time, I want to see this crew from top to bottom, sound design to camera, come back to work on something else. Anything.
Totally, I 100% agree with you.
I don't care what it is.
And I think you and I can both agree that this was probably one of the best Marvel shows separate from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Better than anything we've seen on Netflix or anything.
Yeah, like if you ask someone right now, top of your head, what do you think? What right now? What's
Legion,
your Legion? Like,
I got Legion.
Jessica Jones, the first season.
Daredevil season 1, really good as well.
But man,
Legion's in a different
it.
class.
Yeah.
First class.
It's
Joking.
just different.
Not first class, that's a first class joke.
Go f yourself.
Once again, we get another creative Legion title card. Week in, week out, we're just amazed by how they incorporate the Legion title card into these shows, whether it comes in the beginning of the episode or at the very tail end of the episode. It just fits in perfectly. Right above the crib, we see Legion. It was awesome for this episode, and you know it's going to be focused on baby David and kind of
family.
what happens to him at the end of this journey. So it was spot on.
It closely resembles the title card we got, I think, for episode 3 with the baby crib as well. But again, guys, spot on. Now, for the first time, I believe, for this season, David is narrating lessons in time travel. This is chapter 0. Before that, it was everyone, I think it was the narrator through Switch's headphones.
Which we assume might be her
dad.
father. Yeah, but it was cool. It gave you an idea of like David is kind of taking control, right? He's like he's now in the driver's seat.
This is my story.
And like he's like, okay, I'm gonna write a new chapter. He calls it chapter 0, but like he's like kind of rewriting history, so to speak, and he's rewriting the rules of how it all works. And you can tell from the get that he's motivated to stop Farouk and stop the end of the world and kind of change everything so that his life is fixed and everyone around him is fixed as well.
Now we get a quick line that I don't want anyone to sleep on. It's time travel does not give one the opportunity to change oneself, but rather to eradicate oneself and allow something else to form in the wake of what once was. Okay.
Yeah.
What came first, chicken or the egg?
Exactly. Specific choice of words here, right? Like he makes a difference between saying change. He wants to eradicate and get rid of his previous self that did all these horrible things to Sid and killed a bunch of people and pretty much like was not a hero, was a villain at certain times. But he's basically saying that time travel, this ability, allows him to basically just trash what he doesn't like and redo it all over from a clean slate.
So his change was really just him getting rid of himself, wiping the slate clean to start over.
Right, it's kind of a cheat code, right? It's like he believes, he knows he did wrong things, and he wants to just get rid of it like it never happened. Like basically how he explains to all the other characters in the show is that, oh, those deaths won't matter, they're gonna come back. None of it even happened.
So I'm gonna unplug everything and restart it.
Exactly, all the horrible things I did never happened, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, this is obviously a cheat code, and it contradicts exactly what kind of we learn about what Switch learns and about how what her father says as well is that time is important and time allows for change.
Not everything's going to change, too. That's a safe bet, you can say.
And specifically they said, like, if we don't believe in change, then we don't believe in the concept of time, right? Time is the one thing that allows any of us to go through changes. Yeah. So if you don't believe that change can happen, like you don't believe in the concept of time, and that's what any of us need in order to make progress in a change. So
we can all change.
And allow something else to form in the wake of what once was.
So David and Charles preparing for their battle with Farouk. I like how they just once he pulls out one, it's like a fish, and then from there he pulls out a morning star.
Only this show do you pull the weapons out of your ear.
Yeah, it's out of your mind.
It's pretty awesome.
You just create it from your mind, so out of scratch. So and then I love how just Charles makes a little bullet.
Yeah, just throws it in his pistol.
That's it. Now when they finally get to Farouk, they discover they're not alone. Old man Farouk is there as well.
Yes, there's two Farouks.
And his plan is going into action. Like I said weeks ago, it's all part of a plan here. And it's not to kill David, apparently.
Right. And we we didn't know exactly his motivations, but obviously now after the show, you're kind of sold on he was genuine about what he was saying he was going to do.
He did want to find his dad, but not to do what we thought he was going to do.
Exactly. And upon rewatching this sequence, I noticed that the present-day Farouk, the older and wiser Farouk, he kind of set up his younger self to kind of verbally attack and kind of...
We don't know what he said to him, but you can assume that he said something like that to get him to go after and attack him.
When it made David want to attack him and then pull him into their astral plane fight, leaving the wiser Farouk to kind of talk mano a mano with Charles and have an actual conversation. I love that bit where, he was going to shoot him, and then we see the blood coming out in the form of a red handkerchief. But he decides, hey, let's have a drink and let's discuss it.
Let's chat.
There's got to be more than just, with the creativity that these telepaths and these mutants have. There has to be more than just a gunfight or a regular traditional fight.
They had to do something like that. I knew they couldn't do it just with everyone in a big battle and they all scream and dance in front of each other for the entire sequence. So I love the fact that no, let's not do that.
Right.
No weapons,
and how
war.
surprising is it with these two characters from the comic books that we would never assume would just sit and kind of share a drink and communicate and try to work it out like adults. It's actually happening in this TV show. So I thought it was a really good surprise and a twist that we kind of didn't see coming.
Surely we have more imagination than that.
And also we come back to the reoccurring themes of gods for this show with Gabrielle just throws out a line like, oh, you guys are gods, after she sees the two Carries merge together.
Right.
And Sid says, we wish. But overall, come on, it comes back to the idea of these Omega level mutants and having control over everything in the storyline. And I just dug that.
Yeah, totally. And I think even more than that, I think this show is ultimately about kind of how human we all are, right? It's not kind of showing off just how crazy powerful these mutants are. It's more about the humanity that each one of us have, even the mutants have, right? You don't expect to kind of get that type of story, and that's kind of what what Legion has done for us, right?
At the end of the day, it wasn't anyone using their powers to stop anything, other than, well, you could say switch, but other than that, you can say, well, it was just words.
It was just words. It was conversation. It was it was discord, it was enlightenment, and it was change. It was making those things a conversation between two bitter rivals and changing the way that they see the world, right? About perspective, things that you don't need to have superpowers for in order to do. Now, before they come to an agreement, though, there is some fighting. We had to get some fighting.
They're going to get some fighting in here for fans of the show. You're going to want something. So you do have the actual, finally, Legion fighting Farouk.
All the Davids attacking Farouk, kind of overwhelming him. At first, you think that Farouk's going to stand a chance, and then you're like, whoa, that's a whole lot of Davids.
But with that said, Farouk, he still overwhelms him and David for a moment, and we get a cool shot of him in the straight jacket.
Yeah, Farouk
from
turns
the comics
into the straight jacket and throws it around David. It was, an awesome representation of kind of what's going down on the astral plane here.
And that sequence reminds me a lot of Holy Mountain.
Totally.
Just a few shots in there. Nothing more. There was no more Holy Mountain than just that scene where Legion's dogpiling onto the Shadow King. I just got Holy Mountain vibes.
Now, for the rest of Division 3, they're kind of playing some defense at the Xavier household, right? Because they know that time is collapsing and that the time demons have showed up. Really cool sequence though, right? With all the time jumps and the kind of rewind effect, and then they're just popping out of nowhere. I mean, these
a little time
the way that they
MacGuffin.
represent them is it's kind of horrific, scary, but it's also like how do you defeat them? And then some of them I would have to say is like a little bit too easy to defeat. I was like a shotgun blast just like kills them, and then.
Script.
But you know, when time is also changing around you, it's kind of hard to fight off these creatures from another dimension.
Yeah, it's hard to explain what's going on for the most part, other than watching them just kick, fight, and the Carries getting together, and all you can imagine is like, okay, so she's somehow try to explain it.
Two bodies. It's two in the place of where one body should be, right? It's two people in the place of one. Where the matter of two people should, I have no idea how to explain this, but basically they're like the cheat code against the time collapsing time demons. So that's why Carrie can just kick ass. But the other thing is that she's aging quicker than everyone else while this is all happening. So there's a negative effect of them coming together and trying to fight each other, because I guess you could say that their time is progressing faster together once there are one.
Could be the time demons though as well.
Yeah,
could be something with the time
right,
demons.
They're collapsing all the time, so like literally everything is getting older by the minute. Although we don't see the effect on everyone else except for the Carries. Like you would assume that then
Sid would
Gabrielle
grow
is getting old. Sid is
yeah.
grow old. Baby David would be a teenager by the end of this fight, but that doesn't happen.
No,
it's
that
only
doesn't work for
happening
the
to Carrie.
script, because that would hurt the plot later in the episode.
Definitely would hurt the plot.
So no, I can see why they didn't do that. You can also just say that maybe her age has to do with. You can also say maybe her age is just that she's growing older just to catch up to his age as well for the other Carries. So maybe they're just trying to match up.
Because we saw her as
a
the physical
younger-
physical manifestation of the Carries, then she was catching up with him basically, who was inside. I have no idea. You guys explain it to us.
Mother, do you think they'll like this song?
More Pink Floyd.
Of course.
David sings Pink Floyd's Mother, and so does Gabrielle. A perfect song for this moment, right? A song that deals with an overbearing parent, the anxieties of a parent, creating walls, and the reference of walls kind of struck me because we've seen this in the comic books. Literally, these telepaths trying to break down mental blocks or mental walls. It happened when Charles was trying to help out Gabrielle in the hospital. Happened later when Charles was trying to help out his son Legion when he finds out David Haller is his actual son. The idea of basically those two characters singing this song together. We knew a musical note was a musical thing was coming, but I thought it was pretty perfect for this episode.
Again, at the end of the day, when David needs help, who helps him the most? His parents come
Right.
in both times. So we'll see later in the episode his father comes in to help him, but for now, his mom steps in for a moment there to let him know that she's going to protect him a little bit more than she was.
Because
in the past.
the previous version of David didn't have that.
We assume, yeah.
He didn't have those two parents, the stable family
No,
household
he only
that
had
was kinda,
the Shadow King with him.
He had the Shadow King that was infesting him for 30 years or so.
So time is literally splitting apart for Switch, at least. And last second, she jumps back into her time tunnel.
Yep.
One last time as old woman Switch, and it will never leave my mind, that shot of her spitting out her teeth.
Ugh. Horrific.
But we find out after that, and we see her downfall, and we think this is it, the end for Switch. No. Papa comes to save her.
Saved by her father, who we kind of guessed this was going to happen. We wanted to see kind of that part of the story wrapped up, right?
Yeah.
See him get involved, and basically, from what we understand, she had to kind of graduate to this status to kind of.
Wisdom? Was it wisdom teeth?
That was the dad joke of the year on this show, right? She lost her baby teeth, and now she has her wisdom teeth.
Oh, okay.
She has wisdom, Greg, the wisdom of time travel. But her teeth aren't the only things that she sheds. She actually sheds her screen or something.
Screen, they call it,
Yeah.
or the carapace for the turtle shell. They're
Right.
breaking out of their shells here a
Right.
little bit. They're whatever the skin is, because they are four-dimensional beings.
Yes.
They are something different.
If there are any gods in the show, these might be the gods in this show.
I'm assuming, but at the same time, because of the time demons earlier, and how they manifest these worlds, we just gotta take it at face value that I guess that's actually her father who saved her, and it's not a vision she's having from the grave or something like that, or any last second things. But I'm gonna take it at face value that that was her father who came to save her at the end, and this is the world they actually live in, and everything else beforehand was just her not awake yet. She's now ascended.
She's now ascended to a higher being. Yeah, she's like four-dimensional.
Neo. She's been dropped. She's taken out. She's okay. I'll go with that.
Yeah,
whatever it was, I loved it.
And then when I heard the word screen, I was literally thinking about the TV screens that they used to kind of watch, communicate with each other.
And he was in that screen.
And he was in that screen.
We can say that now. That scene earlier in episode, I believe 3, where Gabrielle's watching the TV and time for bedtime. That was him.
So Switch and her dad, I don't think we get a name at any point, but they basically exist in the realm in between time, right?
Yes.
There's like a separate area where they're native to.
Yes.
And they actually control the time demons with a little whistle.
Dog whistle.
Wish we had that dog whistle earlier this season, but they're able to basically they obey every command that you give them.
They guard it against intruders, apparently. So that's why they're coming after everyone. Until you ascend to this level of being, they're going to come after you. But as long as you got that whistle, you're in good hands.
So it wasn't until she surrendered to time, knowing that time is the most powerful thing out there, that she was able to then, hit this enlightened state.
This enlightened state that, again, when we're playing with colors in this show, I love that. I don't think this is where they were going with it, but I'm taking it as in like Gandalf the White. She goes from what she had on, the black, to now it's all white with the polka dots. I'm just immediately thinking, I've come back to you now, the turn of the time, something like that.
I had him!
Yes, I saw the blood.
So Charles stops David from killing young Farouk. I love the little, like the pouting he has right when he snaps him out.
Yeah.
He starts hitting the ground
tantrum.
like
He's like a little baby still.
It's straight up Peanuts. It's Charlie Brown. He
Totally.
just pulled the football away from him.
And I think it shows that these two characters, they're unfamiliar with the roles that they play as father and son, right? They're still new to each other. They've only met each other a few episodes ago, so. To not know exactly how to interact with one another, and it's a little bit awkward at times. Like it's perfect in the sequence, and then a very touching moment. Like he says that he's sorry, and then it was all his fault. Charles takes responsibility for what he did. He saw after his conversation with Farouk, he saw and learned exactly what he went through. Farouk was kind of like a quasi-father. Like he was there every step of the way and saw the pain that David went through.
I adore you, David, and that will never change. I could only have done it to protect you.
So a very touching moment, and it kind of brought me back to the comics. We've seen this popular and very iconic comic book scan of them hugging each other.
Yeah.
Now the difference there is obviously that before that issue, Charles of New Mutants, Charles didn't know that David was actually his son. Gabrielle kind of kept that a secret from him, so it's a much different context here.
Yeah.
But still, a very, very touching moment between father and son, and their new bond that they're forming.
I just love the way they incorporated Xavier into this show. I absolutely adored the performance by Harry Lloyd. It's fucking great. From top to bottom, everyone.
I think we've been really lucky with all of the Professor X's that we've had. Throughout the years, right? And
a Targaryen made it.
Seriously,
Finally,
he made it. But each one of them brought something different to this character.
Yeah.
And at any point, like I would love to see Harry Lloyd, kind of continue this in another time period or something like that. I think he did a stellar job, and there's no bad Charles Xaviers out there. I don't think.
Harry Lloyd's agency should hit up Disney Plus. Just saying.
The Professor and His Son. New show.
So Switch goes back to help Sid and the Carries and Gabrielle.
Use that dog whistle.
She's now full Gandalf mode at this point. She used that dog whistle to get everyone out of there, and then tells them the hard truth that yes, you're not technically going to die, but it's going to start over.
Right. All the memories you have will no longer exist. Everything you've done, the person you are, it's over.
You're going to start over.
A new rebirth will happen. So it isn't really a change. It's more of an eradication. When you're dealing with time, you get eradicated. Now a new thing forms. Another very affecting and touching conversation here between Sid and Switch, you know, she acknowledges her and her pain and her existence and what she went through. And
Everything you've done has led to something, and people know. People
exactly
will know.
Yeah, we know, and that you are basically accounted for, and that there's value in your life, regardless if it ends here and then it will start again. That every one of us hold value. It was a very beautiful moment, probably one of the most touching out of this whole episode.
We also get a scene where Farouk talks to his younger self, where he gives him glasses of enlightenment. You know,
kind of like last episode's The Cake.
Yes,
that
and
enlightened.
I love the way they did it. Just through a quick, like almost recap. They could have just did the last time on Legion when he put on the glasses.
Exactly.
Naveed Negabom is incredible.
Such a good actor and perfect in this role.
Happy he was on this show.
It literally shows like this villainous mutant.
Yeah.
That was going to, you know, stab Charles in the back and try to kill him, turn into this like loving human father figure. And basically he needed to show the wisdom through these glasses and kind of, you know, impart that on him and give him an idea of what exactly David went through by his own actions.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
So Shadow King, he may have changed, he may have turned to a new person, but he's not stupid, because what he also did was implant the memories of everything he did back into his younger self. So whatever happens to David and this new timeline, that Shadow King is still going down the road he is now with the other attachments of the old Shadow King. So
right.
he's still hitching a ride here.
Yeah, I caught on to this too. Like literally, whoever made it out the best. I believe that Amal Farouk, both versions, made it out the best here in terms of like, and I think it comes back to what we heard from him in season 2 when he's talking to Sid, is basically that he always, like, the game is rigged, right?
Yeah.
And that he will always win. Even if he loses, he wins. He's the knowledge dump that he gives his younger self and himself, like they're basically in the driver's seat.
Not everything's going to change. Some things may stay the same, and so he may still be a villain in this new timeline, just not going after David and Charles anymore.
Yeah, I think if you reset this timeline, 100 times, like a villain still forms in the Shadow King like numerous times out of that 100
He's still
attempts.
putting that king inside the monkey, and probably even his followers inside the children.
I mean, big question I had afterwards is where are all those subjects? Where's the king? Like, are they
He's
still
like,
in there?
I'll figure that out later.
Like,
Don't worry about that.
Did anyone save them from this? Like,
he's like, no, let's shake hands, David.
What about David's sister that he killed? Like, he's gonna just go, it's fine, don't worry about it, you killed her?
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all just water under the bridge.
I guess so. So the two parties shake hands, call a truce.
They do it.
They made a deal, and they trust each other. Obviously, it was a weird comment there, but I noticed that the younger Farouk said, maybe I'll come over later and we'll rule the world together. And David's like, nah, I'm good. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, he's still kind of a villain. The Shadow King is still kind of not the best dude. Like, he wants to rule over the world still.
I think the X-Men or somebody's gonna knock on his door someday.
Yes, definitely. And then we get a really nice shot of David and Sid sitting crib side of baby David. And we find out that she obviously helped David, but it wasn't for that David that we know.
It's for the baby.
For the baby David. That she's able to, throughout the story of this entire show, she has the empathy to help others, to love others, and to use that power over any other power that she has, and literally change his life by doing this.
Yeah, I'm actually very satisfied with the way it ended with this final scene. It's not even calling it open-ended that much anymore. It's actually, I feel like this is very much a bookend story. This is the storyline itself is now finished and complete.
Right.
For me, at least.
Yeah, it's open. It's not open-ended, but it's very hopeful. And there's like endless possibilities from here, right? That you can reset the timeline and 1,000 other things happen differently, or they happen the same, or anything could happen really. So it was the perfect bow around this entire 3-season story. And then just to wrap it all up, literally having the shot of him as a child, the close-up shot of him in the crib as a toddler. I mean, that's literally how it all opened, how the whole show started. So to have, and Noah Hawley said this in a couple of interviews, to know that he wanted to start the show like this and end the show like this, it just felt like a very, very complete story, but also a very hopeful and something that could go on forever.
I'm upset. The only reason I'm upset is because I don't want it to end. I feel like this could keep going. Just go on for whatever other storyline you want to take from a different character. Have one of David's personalities split off into something else. I don't care. I just love this team working together. They did an amazing job.
Totally. And the good news, Greg, if you stayed past the credits, I'm sure all of you did because you guys are all diehard Legion fans. But a screen pops up after the running credits, and it says "Press button to start again." You can just keep on replaying this over and over again, and then fittingly, the rerun of the episode played immediately after that when I was watching it. So it's cool that the sense of this piece of art is always out there. We can go back to it anytime, and I bet you if we watched it again, we would pick out so many more things that we see.
We'd scream at ourselves, like, why did I miss that?
Because you'd notice all the small little nuances of the story and knowing how it's going to end, right? Yeah. We'd get so much more out of it. So the only negative is I wish we could get another season.
Yeah. The only sad, bad part of this entire season is that it ended. That's it. Okay, so we have a few questions since the show is over, and let's start with Noah Hawley. Let's ask him a question. Seems like he's doing his rounds right now. The series is over, so you get those, hey, what can we expect next from the show? And Hawley, he's kind of going around giving everyone the old cap.
No, I don't think I will.
I do like how Hawley is playing this, though, right? He doesn't want to give any answers as what happens next. I mean, anything could happen, and we've even seen, like, future timelines in previous episodes. I think it was chapter 14.
Yes.
You told me, yeah.
Can we go back to chapter 14 and look for answers to this ending?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, anything could happen, right? So David, he grows up in a nice, loving household. He still has mental issues, and he has to get treatment for that and help. But he has a loving family that can help support him. Maybe he doesn't get into drugs. He doesn't go that route. Maybe he works out his issues, works alongside his father. I think that he still forms the X-Men, Charles, because he knows how important it is to kind of put a hand out and shake someone's hand as opposed to gearing up for battle, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go into that, because Xavier, he does bring up the line, if he wanted to teach.
Yeah.
You can interpret that, okay, so in this story, in this timeline, the current timeline on Legion from season 1 to 3, are we looking at a storyline that does not involve the X-Men? Not exactly. Right. I think that Xavier still started his school, but he started it under fear of...
Totally.
He started it under fear of the Shadow King for the battle he has with him in the first season. Yep. But now this new and improved David Haller, who comes in and tells him, hey, you gotta stop this, like a Back to the Future time machine thing. He's now working from a point of love instead of fear this time around. When he's going
and
to
the wisdom that he gained from all of that, right? He learned a whole bunch about himself, about what he did that started that whole showdown with the Shadow King in the first place. So I agree with you 100%. The motivation behind forming the X-Men is completely different here in this new time.
I've always wanted to become a teacher.
I will say there's one thing that I struggled with in this last season, and that was there's no exploration of David Haller's mental illness that we know from season 1 and from the comic books.
Yeah, and because of Melanie and that character too, they kind of pushed that to the side for this season. At the same time too, I wonder if they just didn't want to go down that route of, oh, we don't want to say that we wiped away his mental illness, because that's not how it works.
No.
So they didn't want to have, if they're going to go down the route of time travel, they did not want to take it with, okay, mental illness, what do we do with that? At the same time, I'm back, I'm normal now. And nothing like that. So I appreciate they didn't do that.
I would have liked to have seen some acknowledgement of it, though, in this season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts here, obviously, and time travel came to the front of what they wanted to do, but to acknowledge, at least acknowledge that he does suffer from a mental illness, that his mother suffered from that as well. And that it was something that they had to work together and treat.
I wish there was some line with David and Charles on that.
Speaking of time travel, I do think that Legion overall did the best job of representing time travel out of anything else that we've seen.
Oh, you don't like Endgame's time travel? No? You don't like that?
No,
next up, there's no way we can forget to talk about my favorite character and one of my favorite actresses, Lenny Busker.
Yes.
Who,
Aubrey Plaza did a really good job, and I missed not seeing a lot more of her in this.
I know, and now I'm even more concerned, is Lenny gone now? Because Lenny was a figment of David's imagination.
From Benny, who was a drug addict with him.
Who he met.
Yeah, I don't think that he goes down that road of the drug use, right? So, or at least it becomes less of a possibility. He still might meet someone named Benny. Benny might still come into his life, but hopefully he doesn't meet that. So I guess Lenny never ceases to exist.
Yeah, that's it.
So we never get Aubrey Plaza in this show. I will say though, Lenny is another example of the change that one can take, right? We saw Farouk do this metamorphosis from a villain to a loving father-like figure. We saw Lenny do the same once she realized
time is short.
Time is short, and she was such an asshole, and oh my God, what am I doing? There was no value in what I was doing, right? So we saw that as well, and then it mirrored again with David, and kind of realizing what he's done and what can change as well. So it wasn't just one character going through this metamorphosis, so to speak. It was multiple characters that were doing this all at the same time. Even Sid going back to talk to herself, her younger self, and learning from her and getting to kind of impart wisdom on her as well. So
even if it was just the time demons at the end of the day.
Right.
Lenny, sorry.
Blockhead.
All right, final question here, Greg. Is this the last time we see Legion? Disney Plus is coming out soon. Always have the MCU. Do we see Legion again in some form?
I hope it's not through the third film in a X-Men trilogy on the MCU where David pops in there as Legion for 5 seconds because Magneto needs some help or something like that to fight Charles. I can just see the old scenarios playing out from the 2000s, how they would have dealt with this character. I hope not. I would hope that if they do something like this again, maybe it's another show like Legion.
Right.
But at the end of the day here, you got your whole new Disney Plus thing, and you have these characters sitting, on a mantle somewhere where you can dust them off now because of a bad film. There's a television show that everyone loved and adored that they could just make a live action version of that because of shows like the Umbrella Academy. What else? Doom Patrol are doing very well at this. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's time for a show that starts with X to have their own live-action television show on Disney Plus. And
that would be epic. That'd be epic. I would love to see that. The probability is probably low right now, but I think eventually that we would see this character again brought to some sort of screen. Just because it was this whole experience was a very positive one, right? People loved it. It was received very well. Yeah. I think you need a filmmaker or a writer and a showrunner like Noah Hawley that kind of has a whole vision for it and can kind of give a fresh take on it. I don't know if he would still be up to do it, but I don't think I think it deserves more than just a cheap cameo here or there in a movie or show.
But that's what I feel like what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
The cynic in me tells me right now this is as good as Legion's gonna get for quite some time.
That would probably be the fear of anyone trying to now bring it back in a few years, in 5 to 10 years, right? Because it was such a solid show that you don't want to screw it up.
Just do X-Men. Leave Legion alone for a little while. Unless Noah Hawley decides, he wakes up one day and says, I got a storyline. I got a chapter. I got another chapter ready to go. But until that happens.
That'd be awesome. Maybe Disney Plus down the road does have these kind of a 2-hour, 3-hour movies, basically.
Money. Maybe they can.
Yeah, maybe they do make a Legion movie that's exclusive to Disney Plus that Noah Hawley might be able to come in and just, a one-off thing. I'm all for it. I enjoyed my time watching the 3 seasons of Legion.
I'll watch anything that Noah Hawley does. So
same.
So you'll see us again for Lucy in the Sky, the review for that. But
yeah.
I'm hoping there's more Noah Hawley television other than, of course, you'll see us again also for Fargo with Chris Rock. But the Doctor Doom script doesn't look like it's going anywhere from what Noah Hawley said earlier.
Please make it. I want to see that one.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Anyways, let us know what you guys think. We love hearing from you guys all. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us what you thought about this season finale, this series finale, and about the whole show in general. We also want to do a couple more videos, at least one more video next week. If you guys have any ideas of what we should explore for Legion, please let us know. We would love to get some ideas from you guys.
Yeah, let us know, guys. We'll see you all back here next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.